Hey guys, today I thought I would give you a quick review of Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. Now I say a quick review because I do have a full-length written review of this going up on April Magazine very soon, so when that is live I will link it down below. But for now, these are my quick, just finished this yesterday kind of thoughts. Crazy Rich Asians follows a woman named Rachel Chu who is an economist and a professor living in New York with her boyfriend Nicholas Young. Now Nicholas is also a professor at her university, but he also happens to be one of the wealthiest bachelors specifically, in Singapore. So when he invites Rachel to go back to Singapore for the summer to visit his family and attend his best friend's wedding, he doesn't really prepare her for the world that she is about to enter. And the title is totally spot on because not only are all of these Singaporean families crazy rich, but they are also just genuinely crazy. For one, Nick is apparently the most eligible, richest bachelor on Singapore, and so when Rachel gets there, all of his lady friends are not quite so friendly. Likewise, his family is not only a bit snobbish when it comes to money, but also when it comes to kind of bloodline and old school family status stuff. So yeah, Rachel really does find herself in the midst of a bunch of crazy rich Asians. I would personally describe this book as, I guess, Gossip Girl meets Jane Austen's Emma meets kind of modern day Singaporean high society. And let me say that that is definitely not something that normally attracts me to a book. It's very much outside of my wheelhouse. However, this entire series of books has been getting a lot of really great reviews, and of course the movie is now happening, and I really enjoyed Sarong Party Girls last year, so I thought I would go ahead and give this a go and see what all the fuss was about. Like I said, this isn't really my cup of tea, so I didn't really go in with very high expectations, and I would say that I enjoyed this, though it kind of failed me where I thought it was going to fail me and then was pleasantly surprising in other areas. I haven't planned this review out at all, so apologies if I'm all over the place, but I guess let's start with some cons of this book. And the first one I would definitely mention is that if you don't care about rich people problems, you might not connect with this at all. 95% of the drama, okay, maybe 90% of the drama is in regards to money and wealth and status. And personally, I don't find those to be incredibly interesting. So I think that was the biggest problem for me, was that a lot of the book I was like, okay, well, it's not really a problem, you're just making it a problem for yourself because you're high maintenance. Another problem I had with the book is that there are just too many characters, and I realized that on one hand that is incredibly realistic because Asian families just tend to be massive. I know mine is, but at the same time, it just made it really hard to keep track of who everybody was. I think part of that might have been that I was partially reading this in physical format and partially listening to the audiobook. So if you are interested in picking this up, that might be something to keep in mind. With the audiobook, it is a little bit hard to distinguish between all of the millions of characters. I also found the whole premise of Nick and Rachel's relationship to be a bit unrealistic. I found it really hard to believe that they had been going out for 2 years, living with each other, and that they had never talked about Nick's family or background at all. And finally, my last gripe with the book is that it is just too long. This is about 520 pages, and I honestly think it could have been half that and it could have been a much better book. Going back to what I said about the rich people problems, part of the reason that part of the book was so tedious to me is that because it goes on and on and on, and I didn't care about that. So if this had been cut down to honestly about half the size, I think it would have been a far more engaging read, and I personally would have rated it a lot higher. Moving on to some pros, I really enjoyed Rachel as the main character, mainly because she felt very real, very relatable, and she was not grating or annoying at all, which I have found with other female characters in contemporary literature. I also really enjoyed Astrid. I actually would love to have a whole series with just Astrid's life. I actually found her to be the most compelling character in the whole book, and I was glad that we kind of got a balance between Nick and Rachel and Astrid and her husband Michael. I should also give Kevin Kwan props for not just giving us a book about about high society life that's all glitz and glamorized, but he really gets into the deeper issues, like, sure, these people have a lot of money, but are they actually happy? Do they have good relationships? Do they actually love each other? And, you know, does it all mean anything? And I did really enjoy that. I will also say that the last 50 pages of the book are completely gripping. I kept reading. I needed to know how it was going to be finished and resolved, and honestly, it almost made up for all of that drag in the middle. So those are my thoughts on Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars on Goodreads. If I could have given half stars, I would have given it 3.5. Again, this isn't really something I would normally go for, but given the last 50 pages, I may be tempted to pick up the next book in the series. Maybe. We'll see. If you guys have read Crazy Rich Asians and you would like to chat about it with me down in the comments below, I always appreciate that. But for now, that is all I have for today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. Bye!